Ortiz for BluePrint Pro Wrestling here in South Florida, Deerfield Beach. Gabby, how did you get started in pro wrestling? This is cool, and where you trained, which is also very cool.
Yeah, I started my pro wrestling journey at the world famous Monster Factory in Paulsboro, New Jersey, famously owned by Larry Sharp and now under the tutelage of Danny Cage.
What was it like for you? How did you find that place, and what's it been like for you up there?
Research. I researched all the schools in the area, and the Monster Factory had kind of the most comprehensive listing of what they do there, and I really liked that because it was like I kind of knew what I was getting into, not so much, but I felt comfortable. So I knew what I was getting into, kind of.
Did you talk to anybody about this before you got started?
Yeah, I worked at a haunted house in Philly called Terror Behind the Walls, and one of my coworkers trained there. And I told him I was interested in getting in pro wrestling, and he was like, "You should look at the Monster Factory. It's a good place." His name's Rocky. He's a good guy.
When you were there, what was the training like?
Hard. It was hard. A lot of conditioning. You start out with conditioning, and then you go into your in-ring stuff. You lock up and do all like the arm drags and arm ringers for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and you're like, oh, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life, and then you finally get into the fun stuff. But it makes sense because when you start, you are crisp, clean, and everything is great when you're in there, thanks to the training.
When you were getting started and this path that you took, what made you decide, because you talked a little bit in part one about acting, theater, and decided, okay, acting, theater, no, I want to try something else. What was that time that you went through to do that?
Well, when my mom passed away and I did my reflection on who I was and what I wanted to do, I never thought I could do pro wrestling because I'm so little. I'm about 5'0". I'm a tiny girl. And then something was like, wait, life's so short. You know, if...
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Pun intended, actually.
Oh, pun
Life is
intended.
short, I'm short. And I was like, why am I holding myself back? Let me just do it. I'm just going to do it. I want to make her proud. I want to make my dad proud. I want to make myself proud while I'm here on the earth. That's why I did it.
And you see wrestlers like Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
And on the indies here, Diamante.
Yep.
The size of the wrestlers, for men and women, it's changed a lot over the years and all. So when you're getting involved with that, was that a motivation too for you?
Exactly. Well, there's AJ Lee, who's about my same exact measurements, and when I saw her wrestle for the first time, it became more of a reality. I was like, wow, there's like a tiny Puerto Rican girl that's doing this too. Maybe I can do it. And then I stepped back and I was like, maybe not. And then that life-changing experience can really push someone over the edge and like, yep, it's time to do it. Just get in there.
Do you remember your first match?
I do. I remember my first match.
So where was the match? Who was it for? Who was it against?
At the Monster Factory. It was with my very good friend Riley Shepard. We had a huge feud for a long time. Now we're tag partners on Women of Honor, so you'll probably see us on there. And she beat me, but all the wrestlers were outside with the fans. So it was like, I was on one side, she was on the other side, we got right in, we were right into it. So it's so cool that my first match was with all my friends, everyone I trained with was there with the fans, and that's like such a unique experience. Not a lot of people get to do that, and I did, and I thought that was really cool. It's a good memory to look back on, except losing. That sucked.
Yeah, she's got that up on you.
Yeah,
Oh, well.
She gets to talk about it. I won. I lost.
Women of Honor, part of Ring of Honor.
Yep.
How did you get your break to be there?
I went to a Women of Honor and Stardom tryout, and I ended up winning not winning, but I ended up coming on top, and I got to be able to be a part of the Women of Honor roster and a part of the Stardom roster in Japan. So I toured with Stardom for 2 months, came back, did Women of Honor, and I'm just, wherever the flow takes me is where I end up. But Women of Honor has been behind me since I started. I was about 5 matches in when I got sent to Japan.
That's amazing. That quickly.
Yeah.
What did that tell you about yourself that you were able to do that so early in your career?
I was I couldn't believe it was me doing it. It felt like an out-of-body experience because I had very little confidence in this when I first started. And then when I saw people believing in me, I was like, wow, I should maybe believe in myself now. So I did. And when I got to Japan, it was culture shock. I've never wrestled in front of this many people. I've never even wrestled this many matches in front of anybody. And I just got thrown into it really quickly, which I'm actually thankful for because now I can do anything.
That's amazing because you go to Japan and that's a huge experience, especially working for Stardom.
Yeah.
And you're there. Do you think also that partly not knowing what everything is and what's going around helped too, or no?
You know, I loved that. I loved it. I thought it was great. It was like very scary at first. I did call my dad crying a few times, more than I'd like to admit. But then after like a week or two, I was like, wait, this is awesome. I don't know anything. I'm like a baby here. This is great. So I got to start from scratch and like learn about a whole new culture. And I love Japan. I want to go back so bad. It's a great place. It's a great country.
And the women wrestling there are just amazing.
It's the reason why women's wrestling is the way it is now here. Is Joshi Pro Wrestling out there. There's no way it isn't. You know, we see these girls out there and they're really going hard, and for a while it wasn't taken as seriously here, but it was always taken seriously over there. So it definitely is a huge influence on all of us girls, for sure.
Women of Honor, tell us about that and tell us about being a part of that in Ring of Honor.
Is so cool. It's cool. My good friend Mandy Leone and my good friend Deanna Perrazzo, they both started it, and they're both my age, and that is so cool to see young ladies and young women and young wrestlers get in there and like not just like ask for a seat at the table, but demand it and go in there and like show it and have the highest viewed matches on their YouTube page, because that's people want it and they knew that and they fought for that. And now we're here and it's a whole roster, and it was built on almost nothing, and they built a really cool spot, and now there's a championship. That's really cool. I'm getting called by people. Sorry.
What happened? What happened? All right, we'll finish this up.
Yeah.
You mentioned Deanna Perrazzo, and she's going to be part of the WWE Mae Young Classic. So what do you think of her being involved in that, and what do you think of the WWE Mae Young Classic?
It's well-deserving for all involved, and it's about time, truly. That's all I can say about it. It's well-deserved, and it's about damn time.
And goals for you?
Goals for me is to get in the Mae Young Classic, hopefully number 3.
Social media?
I am Gabby, Gabbity, on everything.
Thank you so much, Gabby.
Thanks.